Welcome to Just Some Guy Trading with 2021 World Champion Trader Kevin McCormick. Welcome back to Just Some Guy Trading. I'm Kevin McCormick, and after a 1-week break from my vacation, I'm back with our weekly review for June 18th. Last week was a busy week in the market. A lot of the setups we discussed the week before did occur, so we have a lot to cover this week. I'm going to start off with the S&P 500, Nasdaq, copper, soybean meal, and we'll finish up with soybeans, corn, and wheat. For any of my new viewers out there, I go in this order in the video. Feel free to jump around as you see fit. As always, this presentation is for educational purposes only. All right, and just like the last couple weeks, I'm going to start off with the Commitments of Traders report, highlighting the record short we had going on in the hedge fund community. If you want more details on how to use the Commitment to Trader report, I have it in the Trader's Toolbox for the new viewers out there. As I've been talking about for over a month now, the hedge funds started getting heavily short until they finally hit this level here. Back here in these weeks was actually the largest short position in over 15 years by the hedge fund community. And as we highlighted, this is the one piece that was really holding me back from going heavy short, is because when they get this offsides in their positioning, it has never ended well for them. And this week and last week, they finally had to start capitulating and they started buying back their position. They still have a large short position in place, but they've already bought back 25% of the short position. And this report doesn't include trading from Thursday and Friday. So I think this probably got a little smaller since then. We have a couple other things that are slowing me down now, where I think this is going to be possibly the area for our correction in the market. We now are overvalued on the Williams valuation in both the US dollar, gold, and bonds. No big surprise that sentiment got awfully high here the last couple weeks. This is usually a contrarian signal out there. When it gets too high, when it's up, sell. Also, we now have seasonals working against us for the next couple weeks. Right here, right now, from a seasonal perspective, we should start looking for market declines. This is similar across the Nasdaq, S&P 500, and the Dow. Now, let's jump back to the chart. And you'll see here, I mentioned before that our August highs from 2022, I expected to be our area of resistance in the S&P 500. We're now hitting up against that. If you saw my reports from the last couple of weeks, we talked about the DeMARK sell signals that hit. We have another setup coming, not in the S&P 500, but in the Nasdaq on the next report. So for anyone out there that's not a subscriber yet, if we get another DeMARK sell signal this week with a confirmed 13th sell, I'm going to do a special report update on that when it hits. But my prediction for the next coming weeks is it's time for that correction in the S&P 500. We've kind of had that short covering rally caused by the hedge funds. And now you have a lot of people who have changed their mind on the direction of the market. So they're sitting on the sidelines waiting for a pullback so they can buy. I don't think the move that we had this week was from net new buyers. I think mostly it was short covering. And this week could initiate the pullback in the market. Because in addition to the short covering, we also had options expire on Friday. So that means people have cleared their books of their long and short positions in the options market as well. My opinion is about the same on the Dow Jones, S&P, and Nasdaq. But let's just jump into the Nasdaq and take a closer look at that chart next. All right, now taking a look at the Nasdaq, similar to the S&P 500, we have about the same sell signals, but we have a few extra important points to the Nasdaq. Williams valuation, we've been overvalued for a while. This is why we use multiple indicators, because it doesn't usually go to overvalued and then we have an immediate decline after that. Just like S&P 500, sentiment has been overly bullish lately, contrarian signal. True seasonal, again, we are set up for a decline right now based on the seasonal pattern. This is the weekly one. We take a look at the daily one. kind of highlighting what we saw on the monthly chart there, is it should get choppy, but right about now is when we should be expecting a pullback in the market. And this is kind of similar to what I'm thinking right now. I don't think we're going to have a market crash, but we could have a healthy 5 to 10% correction right here, right now, and it wouldn't upset the uptrend that's in place and what have I been calling for since basically January as the next bull market. And this is the last important piece here because we've had this very strong rally in the Nasdaq. If you go back and take a look at my ADX in the toolbox, anytime we get above 60, it should be a signal of a top. We're at 53, call it 54 right now. I don't know if we're going to make it to 60 before we get that call. You can see back here when we got that 60 break, it was a great signal. And this is a perfect example of what I think we have in store for us in the next couple of weeks. This was just a healthy correction in this bull market trend in 2021, and the market continued higher for almost another year. So how am I trading this right now? I'm looking for a confirmed breakout to the downside in the markets. Nasdaq and S&P 500, I'm looking for a break along the same way. If we get below the Wednesday, Thursday lows, market lows of those days, that's what I think will have a confirmed breakout, and the market will move lower. I think if we take out the lows from Thursday and Wednesday of last week in both the Nasdaq and the S&P 500. That's my short signal right now that I'm looking for to go short, unless, of course, we get that DeMARK 13 that I'm waiting for in the futures market in the Nasdaq, and then I will release that special report. So make sure you subscribe to know when I see that sell signal come up. All right, that's the outlook for the stock market for this coming week, and actually I think for the next couple weeks. So let's jump into the copper chart and a possible setup we have coming in that market. I'm going to take a quick look at the chart of copper because I think we have finally formed a bottom in copper, and the next leg is going to be higher, and I think we could have a good trade setup coming this week. First off, the confirmed breakout, in my opinion, higher is with the breakout above the 18-day moving average, and now the moving average is following this breakout higher. You can see we have a confirmed move higher here, and we see the same with the Williams %R trend of momentum. So what am I looking for this week? This has been a long rally in copper, and so I'm looking for a pullback, and then I will enter off of that pullback. That pullback will be required to go down and break below the buy point in the Williams %R, or oversold in the Williams %R, and that will be my signal to go long this week in copper. This is a short-term trade for me, and we'll see what happens. But now let's jump into the grain market, starting with soybean meal. Jump into the grain charts, starting with soybean meal. I wanted to hit quickly on some of the fundamentals that drove the grain market this week. I've always mentioned before that I'm a technical trader, but I can't trade the grain markets, I think, without looking at fundamentals as well. And we discussed how about a month ago, the USDA report caused the market to go down because they were expecting record yields in the grain markets. Well, as always, the weather's not cooperating with that report. As you can see here, we are now in drought conditions in most of the growing area in the U.S., and the planting season this week has been extremely dry, so it's hurting the crops that they need to now start off the growing season. That's why we had the rally this week in basically all of the grains, but as we mentioned before, the technicals were telling us to get ready for a market move higher as well. So it's always nice when the technicals and the fundamentals align. But this hits on why I think we're still going to be in a bullish trend in the grain market. But I think this week it's a good idea to be a contrarian in these markets. So let's jump into that soybean meal chart. All right, we're going to start off with the COT report for soybean meal. As you're going to discover as we're going through this, I am still long-term bullish on the gains, but I think this week could be a good week as a trader if you're willing to be nimble, getting in and out as we have a pullback that I'm expecting here. So as you can see, commercials are still very long soybean meal. They have been for a while, and we're buying this entire turn down. On a valuation perspective, we're still undervalued when it comes to soybean meal. And then when we take a look at the true seasonal daily, you'll see that right here, we got this big move higher on Friday because, as I mentioned before, the weather hasn't been cooperating with the planting season. But you can see, seasonally speaking, we usually have a move lower right about now in soybean meal. So that's the move I'm trying to catch this week, is a very healthy pullback, especially after this enormous move on Friday. So we'll catch that pullback, then look to go long. And then for my viewers that are watching 2 or 3 weeks ago, I hope some of you did catch this move higher, because of course for me, I didn't trade while I was on vacation, and I said, hey, we had the ADX buy signal indicating the bottom of the market, aligning with the DeMARK 13 buy signals, which has an over 80% accuracy rate in my back testing of trading. I said, wait for this move higher in the stochastics. And of course, it waited until I went on vacation, and then it made its breakout higher. So I hope some of you caught this move. I was not trading the last week, but now I think it's just healthy to have a little pullback here. We can catch that and then go long again. All right, now let's go take a quick look at the soybean chart. Similar setup, but I wanted to discuss it as well. Okay, now we're taking a look at soybeans. Unlike soybean meal, we went from undervalued to overvalued very quickly in soybeans. So we've now this week hit overvalued in both gold and bonds compared to soybeans. And as you would expect with this enormous move, we went from a bearish sentiment to a bullish sentiment in just a matter of a couple weeks. Both things that should be telling us that a healthy pullback should be in place. But now let's take a look at the daily chart. Here on the daily chart, it looks very similar to that copper chart I showed us earlier. We've had the confirmed market bottom breakout, in my opinion, and this aligned with the ADX 40 and the DeMARK buy signals as well. And so now we broke out above the 18-day moving average, but this move is too big, too fast, in my opinion, and it's why I'll be looking to get short this week, either at below Friday's low, or if we move a couple days higher, I'll move up that short entry. But I'm looking to get short soybeans, and that will be probably a 2 or 3 day trade as we have this pullback. And then I think it's safe to go long both soybean meal and soybeans after we have this healthy pullback this week, as maybe we have some weather and different things that help us out. So now let's go jump into the corn and wheat charts to finish off this week's update. On the corn chart here, we're taking a look at the daily chart. Very similar to the soybean chart we just looked at. Confirmed breakout and move higher. But as I said before, I'm looking for a pullback this week. We can either try to go short. Don't go short everything at the same time. Proper risk management here. You can't go short everything in the grain markets because these are going to move together. But when we get this next pullback in corn, that drops back into the oversold area in the Williams %R, I will be looking to go long corn at that time. It's probably going to pull back and hold right around the 18-day moving average. Just as a technical, habit, you can see back here when we had this move higher, then we had the pullback into the 18-day moving average, and boy, was that a great buying opportunity. I think we're setting up for the same thing in corn in the coming days. Last but not least, we're going to finish up with wheat, and the outlook there, very similar to the rest of the grain market. Finishing up with the wheat chart, we've had a breakout move higher, but as you can see here, this has not been as strong as the soybean and corn markets. But I think it's forming that bottom, just not as, fundamentally strong. We have a little more wheat coming out of Ukraine right now. But similar setup. Trade the markets that you see fit. But I believe that we'll have a similar pullback here, and we'll get into the oversold area in the Williams %R, and that'll be an area for us to go long wheat in the coming days as well. Thanks for watching Just Some Guy Trading. As always, remember to like and subscribe to this video so you can find out when all of my content comes out. But until next time, good luck with your trading.